My impression from the public inquiry into converting Victoria Tower Gardens into a visitor centre for a Holocaust memorial is that the objectors won, hands down and feet up. The only substantial argument from the developers was that the Holocaust was a terrible thing. Indeed it was, but the objectors countered this with the nugget of wisdom: right project, wrong place. Apart from the fact that it is a prime site and they could get it for free, the developers seem not to have thought about the historic and landscape context or about the local community. In fact, they saw it as so empty that, as well as a Holocaust memorial, they could slip in a Holocaust Information Centre, hoping, no doubt, that people would forget that in 2021 the Imperial War Museum, about a mile away, is opening a £30 million project to physically and intellectually present the Holocaust narrative within the context of the Second World War, which is where it belongs. If the inspector decides against the developers, as is hoped, it will be an important victory, but not enough to win the argument. The final decision rests with a minister in the Department for Housing, Communities and Local Government. Astonishingly, this is the very department responsible for proposing the memorial, and the Secretary of State, Robert Jenrick, is actually the applicant for planning permission. It's bad enough that the department will be marking its own homework. They also employ the examiner and set the question. You may think this would go against natural justice, and it most certainly would. But there are many indications that this is what the government, supported by a bunch of former prime ministers, want to happen and may decide to do. I therefore urge them to remind themselves of this passage from John Locke's Treatise on Government. I easily grant that civil government is the proper remedy for the inconveniences of the state of nature, which must certainly be great, when men may be judges in their own case. Since it is easy to be imagined that he who was so unjust as to do his brother an injury will scarce be so just as to condemn himself for it. But I shall desire those who make this objection to remember that absolute monarchs are but men, and if government is to be the remedy of those evils which necessarily follow from men's being judges in their own cases, and the state of nature is therefore not to be endured, I desire to know what kind of government that is, and how much better it is than the state of nature, where one man, commanding a multitude, has the liberty to be judge in his own case, and may do to all his subjects whatever he pleases, without the least liberty to anyone to question or control those who execute his pleasure. Locke's principle comes from a freed Roman slave. Publilius Syrus declared in the 1st century before Christ that no one should be judge in his own case. Surely this is right.